Most of you know my background, but I'm just going to give you a little information for those of you who don't know me well. I'm Rev.Carol Willis. I've been an ordained spiritualist minister here since 2015. Before I was a spiritualist, I spent a lot of years as a truth student in the Unity Church. I do have teaching credentials there, not an ordination, but teaching credentials. And I spent time ministering to the adult ministry as well as children's ministry. And I used to work for their region doing children's ministry, consulting to 130 churches for 5.5 years. And then I just got burned out and I decided I needed a rest, and a friend invited me to come here to just hang out. And pretty soon I was up to my clavicles again in serving. I became, Reverend Ken invited me to be the treasurer and be on the board, and then he invited me into the ministerial program, which I think at that point I was ready for. So it's been about 1.5 years, I think, since Reverend Keith appointed me as the senior minister, and it's been my pleasure to serve this congregation in any way. So what I want to talk to you about today, because today is our membership Sunday where we're going to install our new and renewing members. And so I just want to share some thoughts with you that have been on my mind. In the Bible, and some people think I'm just too much into the Bible, but the Bible is a collection of stories. And even though those stories happened a long time ago, it doesn't mean that they're not worth something. Because I could take anything from today and put it in there, and it would be just as important and just as significant, just as meaningful. And so that's why I refer to it, because it's not obsolete in my way of thinking. So in the Bible, after the Gospels, is the book titled The Acts of the Apostles. And in this book, we read about the 12 disciples building the early Christian church. Now that Jesus has ascended, it's time for them to take that knowledge that he gave them and do something with it. It's like, how are you going to carry that on? And so they're in the process of building the church. Also, you'll read about the conversion of Saul to Paul. Saul was a murderer of Christians, and he was struck blind for several days until the voice of Jesus came to him and said, "What are you doing? How come you're not devoting your life to the truth?" And only when he made that commitment to follow Christ's teachings did he regain his sight. And then he committed himself to go to Europe and develop churches among the Gentiles who were an unchurched group. And of course, the Christians considered them to be unclean and really not worth the effort to do anything with. So Paul decided, well, why not me? And so several books of the Bible following the books of Acts are Paul's communication to these different groups as their mentor and their coach to aid in resolving problems and conflicts of leadership and to help keep the group on task so that they wouldn't just fall apart. After all the work he put into it, in establishing it, he wanted to keep it alive. As today is our membership Sunday, I want to share one of Paul's letters to the Roman congregation. And this reading comes from Romans chapter 12, verses 3 through 8. For I say, through the grace given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, as God has dealt to each one a measure of faith. For as we have many members in one body, but all the members do not have the same function. So we, being many, are one body in Christ, and individually members of one another. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, let us use them. If prophecy, let us prophesy in proportion to our faith. Or ministry, let us use it in our ministering. He who teaches in teaching, he who exhorts in exhortation, he who gives with liberality, he who leads with diligence, he who shows mercy with cheerfulness. It takes all of the members of the body working together to have the body function well and be healthy. It's important to have healthy congregations, not numbers, not even the most money you can. It's about being healthy, being loving, and how we behave. Paul addresses the spiritual gifts of the group's membership and how those gifts could be expressed and honored to add to the health and strength of the community. He's really coaching the leadership on how to build community and how to keep that community growing. A community is defined as a social unit of people or living things sharing common characteristics such as location, interests, norms, or identity. It represents a group with shared, durable relations, fostering a sense of belonging, mutual support, and common, often place-based experiences. And this comes from Webster's Dictionary. Communities act as a source of social control, support, and shared identity for the members. And I want to share with you that there are many times when people come here for the first time, and one of the first things they say is, I'm looking for community. And once they discover how our community is, they either want to stay because they resonate with it, or they decide to go on to someplace else because they don't resonate with it. And it's okay either way. You know, you have to find what you resonate with. Okay, where am I here? Here at COE, our community is growing and thriving. When I first came here, there were probably 6 to 8 people in the sanctuary on a given Sunday. And now we're averaging 18 to 25 people between who is online and who is in the sanctuary. And why have we been so successful in our growth? Because, number one, we do as Paul instructed. We give people a way to express their gifts and talents and be successful at that. Number two, we have attracted other like-minded people. Number three, we practice non-judgment and unconditional love as taught by Jesus and other master teachers. And number four, we offer spiritual education. And some of our education is based on teachings other than spiritualism, because there's truth in every teaching. Many of you probably followed the Walk for Peace by the Venerable Monks. They started from their temple in Fort Worth, Texas, walking 2,300 miles to Washington, D.C. It took them over 100 days to complete this walk. They concluded their journey with events at the Washington National Cathedral and the Lincoln Memorial, drawing large crowds, and I mean thousands of people. On YouTube, I saw a picture of the monks standing on the stage, and they were looking out, and there were thousands of people, just thousands of people all crowded in there, wanting to hear what the monks would have to say. The monks spoke to the crowd, sharing ideas about how to live in a healthy society and community. What we put into society, we receive in return. And I copied off of Facebook part of their speech that somebody had posted, and I want to share with you because I think these ideas are important to have a healthy community. Ladies and gentlemen, life moves very fast. Sometimes just a few seconds are enough for us to hurt someone, to say words we regret, or to create more pain in a world that is already exhausted. But those same seconds, if we live them well, can become the beginning of peace. Today, I do not ask you to think about big ideas. I simply invite you to live 5 seconds of your life with mindfulness. 5 seconds, if lived with mindfulness, can change one person, one family, one community, one nation, and the world. In the first second, choose loving kindness. Loving kindness does not need power, money, or a title. It is simply the choice to stop before hurting, to stop before speaking, to care instead of reacting. If each person takes just 1 second to ask, will this hurt anyone? The world would already be kinder. In the second second, choose compassion. We do not know what pain others carry, what losses they have faced, or how hard they are trying to survive. Compassion does not mean agreement. It means not adding more pain. A compassionate world does not abandon the weak and does not create more suffering. In the third second, choose love. Love means children grow up safe. Love means elders live with dignity. Love means we do not turn away when someone is in pain. To start with, truly loving yourself. Start with that love for the person in front of you, whether you know them or not. That is how we create a more loving world. In the fourth second, choose harmony over winning. Harmony does not mean sameness. It means respect without agreement and coexistence without fear. Peace does not come from victory. Peace comes from the ability to live together. In the fifth second, choose hope. Hope that people can return to morality. Hope that violence is not the final answer. Hope that the world can soften if we slow down and listen. The walk for peace is not a protest, not to convert. It is a reminder that hope still exists when people are willing to care. Hope is a final light that must never go out. Before we close, let us pause for a moment, not to debate, not to argue, but to stand together and offer these shared prayers for humanity with hope. Let us all put our left hand over our heart and the right hand on top of our left hand, gently. Close our eyes. Take a deep breath. Take another deep breath and a last one. Feel each and every heartbeat within your heart. Concentrate on your heartbeat. And every heartbeat, you now think of all your loved ones within your heart, all the friends, family members, your co-workers, your neighbors, the people you know, and lastly, all beings. Amen. Some pretty powerful words. For some reason, I just can't seem to separate myself from this experience and all that it has taught everyone who's followed it and everyone who's watched and witnessed it. It's made a profound, profound effect on me personally. I want to thank all of you for coming today. And as my friend Scott Demers did, the divinity in me greets the divinity in you and honors that divinity in you. And really, that's what we're about every day in all of our relationships, in all of our situations. We bring forth our divinity, not our anger and our reactions and our hurts and sorrows. We want to live from that higher consciousness, which is we stand in our divinity and we live and act from that plane of existence instead of all this chaos in the world. That does not benefit us. What benefits us is to live from our true self. Model that, lift the consciousness, and perhaps lift other people. I know it seems like a big ask, but it's an important ask, and it has tremendous results. Just think, it's like the golden rule. How would you like others to treat you? From their divinity or from the chaos of the world? And so we have a responsibility to put that out to others if that's what we want to receive. That's how we make a difference and make the world a better place. And I think that's part of what the monks were trying to tell us. You know, they took their teaching on the road, and people gathered as they found out about them. And they blessed people. People were starting to bring their family in wheelchairs and their babies and all, I mean, their grandparents and all kinds of people started to come because their consciousness of love was drawing to them. And they put it out there until the culmination at the end, where there are thousands of people waiting to hear what they have to say. And what they said was something, it wasn't new. We all know these things. But I think what they're trying to tell us is we need to be consciously aware of what we put out into the world. We can't expect the world to be peaceful and harmonious and loving and orderly if all we put out there is confusion, frustration, anger, and so on. What we put out there comes back. And if it doesn't seem to change, don't stop putting out there what you know is the highest and the best. Because that's how we've been truly created. To be that channel of love, to be the harmonizing presence, to be our divinity in the world. And I want to thank you all for being here today. I'm very appreciative. And let's take our prayer card to